Hi, and welcome to My Real Thai Life. I have been living in Thailand with my wife for just over a year and a half and wanted to share some of the sights, sounds, and some of my experiences of rural Thailand. In this video, we have a little bit of what my experience has been with acquiring computer equipment living in rural Thailand. Today we're riding the motorbike to the local computer store, and it has been my go-to place for getting anything for my PC. The store is called Advice, but beware of taking their advice on computer parts, at least at this local store. For example, I needed an extra keyboard for a small computer, and it was a backup if when I ever had issues with my main keyboard. I'd picked one out, but the sales lady said I would like this one better. I decided to try it out just to see, since it was not going to be my main keyboard. The keyboard is okay at best. It is nothing I would want to use on a regular basis. It's basically a cheap keyboard made to look like a gaming keyboard. It is just not the type that I like. I have a Keychron mechanical keyboard as my main keyboard, and I love it. Another issue that makes me not want to listen to their advice is the PC they built for me. I had specific hardware that I wanted, including a Western Digital NVMe hard drive. They could get them, but they convinced me to get Kingston instead. Those drives give me problems. Unfortunately, they are also difficult to replace because Advice did something when they installed them on my motherboard that is making them quite difficult to even access and remove them. My point is, be wary of taking advice from Advice. They mean well, they're not trying to be malicious, and they have been very good to me in other avenues. Today we're going to go and get a new laptop. They have a decent selection of laptops. They will order anything they don't have in stock. 99% of the time you'll pick it up the next day, even on weekends. But today we didn't do that route. We decided to not buy one locally. We drove 90 minutes to a bigger city, not Bangkok, and we ended up finding exactly the perfect laptop I needed at an Advice in the bigger city and taking it home immediately. So my advice for Advice, well, go there if you need stuff, but if you're a geek or a techie, follow your gut and get what you want. Make sure, and they can get it. It's not a problem. If you want to get it that day, probably go to a bigger town. I'm sure Bangkok would be no problem at all getting whatever you need. Just when you're at the small rural towns like me, you're going to wait a day. Considering we live in such a small town, I am impressed at the selection that is available to me. Not only there's that, I can get almost anything I want. If you'd like to have more stories like this, and maybe even see my face and hear more experiences from me, go ahead and click the like button. Tell me in a comment what you'd like to know. If there's a question you have about living in rural Thailand, whatever you want to know, just let me know. If it's a reasonable question, I'll answer it. If it's something ridiculous, I might answer that too. I look forward to hearing from you. Enjoy the views of my drive to the local Advice in our rural community, and thanks for watching.